get ready to eat some humble pie, brother, because we have to say, and still, right? Is that what we're calling it? I thought it was weird because Bruce Buffer said, and now the unified champion. And I guess, yeah, you're unifying the belt because you had interim champion and regular champ. I don't know. I think this should have been the first title defense. I mean, what do you make? Aljamain Sterling, and still he gets the split decision nod. But should this? Let's not even be biased. This should have been the first title defense, correct?
It should have been. He technically was a champ by all rules and on paper, 100%. It should have been a title defense, yeah.
And regardless of that or not, the people now have said, all right, brother, you did it the right way. Even Joe Rogan said it. All right, man, you got the nod and you got it the right way. But even still, there's some controversy, brother, because even though you got it the right way, even though the judges on paper scored this in favor of Aljamain Sterling via a split decision, when the company, the company and the president of the company themselves discredit you after the fight by saying, yeah, I don't know, I had it 3-2 Yan. I think that the judges screwed up there. Are you really the champion, brother? I mean, I feel like there is no love for Aljamain Sterling. He showed, though. Let's be honest, brother, because I had my reservations. He did what he did to Corey Sandhagen to Petr Yan, and I was not expecting that, man. He put the backpack on him. He controlled him for 2 rounds, and nobody in the history of mixed martial arts has ever done that to Petr Yan. Nobody has done it. So that's kind of the big thing right here. He is the real deal, clearly, through and through. Did he get whooped on in those last 2 rounds? Absolutely. If it was a fight to the death, would he have won? I don't think so. But that's not the point. We're talking about a 5-round fight, and on technicalities, the judges saw 3 of those 5 rounds going in favor of Sterling. So what do you make of this entire situation, my man? He proved it, but did he really prove it? Talk to me. What do you think?
I had it 3-2 Yan, and I definitely did not have a 10-8 scored in whether it's the second or the third round, whichever one it was. And at the same point, like, yes, did Aljo get things going and do a lot better in the fight? 100%. He almost, I agree with you to a point. He almost did what he did to Corey Sandhagen, except without the finish. Yeah. Sure, he put the backpack on him. He was rolling around, had a ton of control, like 7-8 minutes of control time. But at the same point, didn't really do anything. Yan wasn't in danger, man. He was defending the entire time. He always had the hands pulled down. Sure, the body triangle was engaged the entire time, and Yan wasn't able to flip his hips and get to an advantageous position. But there wasn't ever really anything dangerous about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't in deep on a chin or on a neck or anything like that. So I didn't have the disparaging points at that point. You know, I at the end of this fight, I was thinking, if this goes to a draw, okay, I can see it. Like, I can see where somebody would give him the 10-8, but for sure, Petr Yan won the last, at least for me, the first, the fourth, and the fifth. That's where I can kind of see it come in. A lot of people, I'm glad you pulled it up, Derek. A lot of people had it scored for Sterling, which kind of makes me want to go back and watch that first round, because to me, this fight was won in the first round. Aljo, second, third, Yan, fourth and fifth. What happened in that first round? Maybe it was just a little unsure, a little shaky. Maybe nothing was absolutely solidly determined. So that's where I can see that a lot of these coming in. You can see on the screen, folks, a lot of these are going to Sterling. A lot of them are draws and very few to Petr Yan. So we might have to go back and actually watch it, because might have been something a little biasy on my side as a Yan fan was watching. But either way, yeah. Got to give credit to Aljo, because he did do what nobody else has ever done and made Yan go to a spot that he's never been in before, which does get you points, does score you points.
It does get you points, but this was the theme of the night, right? This is on par with the Marco Madsen fight. This is on par with the Duran Torres fight. It's like sometimes you get takedowns and the judges are like, well, you didn't do anything, so it doesn't count. And sometimes you get a takedown and they're like, oh, you didn't do anything, but that counts for a lot. And it's just so inconsistent. And I think that the reason why is the same point that I have to hit on, that I hit on a few weeks ago or a few months ago, brother, where I said, okay, the UFC is back to traveling. We're going to different commissions. We're hitting to different states. And what do you know? Since we're not in Vegas every single fight, now you're seeing some wacky scoring and wacky criteria in each and every different state that just views it differently, right? Texas might view it one way, Florida might view it one way, California one way, and Nevada one way. So that's the tough part about the travel, brother, is that you're getting just a bunch of different criteria. But then again, we're going to go back to that webpage, right? For those who are listening, we'll talk you through it, right? You have Sal D'Amato, Chris Lee, and Alicio Rodriguez. Now, the one person who gave the fight to Yan was actually Chris Lee, who was an experienced referee, right? This is not some just random. Like, Rodriguez, I would say, would be the one out of these 3 that has the least amount of, like, popularity, experience, something like that. But either way, Sal D'Amato gave Sterling's round 1 through 3. Chris Lee gave Sterling's rounds 2 and 3, which I agree with. And Alicia Rodriguez gave rounds 1 through 3 to Sterling. And so that's what it comes down to, is just that first round, clearly, right? But when we look at the media scoring, man, the clear majority has it in favor of Sterling, but to a wider margin. 48-45 Sterling, 48-46 Sterling. We have maybe about like 8 of those, right? 148-47 Sterling, a bunch of draws, and then only 2 people scored it in favor of Yan. So that means to me that a lot of people truly are banking on that second round being a 10-8. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about the merit of 10-8. Let's talk about the theory of 10-8 here, brother. A 10-8 in theory is supposed to be you beat the brakes off of your opposition. You basically did the closest thing you can do to finishing your opponent without finishing them. And you can argue that Aljamain Sterling did that. You can argue that Aljamain Sterling had the backpack on him and had him in so much trouble that Petr Yan could only defend. He can only sit there and just try to hold his neck, make sure he doesn't get his neck snatched up for the span of about 3 minutes. You can argue that, right? But on the same hand, aside from a potential submission happening, similarly to Mackenzie Dern to Tisha Torres, well, you didn't submit him. So does it count? I don't know if that would count as a 10-8 in my opinion. So I didn't score it as a 10-8. But can you at least understand or be compassionate to a judge giving a 10-8, or do you just see that as ludicrous?
No, I'm compassionate to the 10-8. Like I was saying, at the end of the fight, I was like, okay, if this goes into a draw, I can see it. Strictly because if there's a 10-8 being scored, I didn't have it that way. I'm in agreement with you, Derek. I think a 10-8 by rules is you did all but finishing the man. You know, you did everything you could. You were so dominant, you just didn't quite get the finish. Something like a there's a lot of reasons out there. I was thinking of even the Brian Ortega when Brian Ortega had Alexander Volkanovski in deep on that submission. And then he pops his head out like, okay, but if Brian Ortega would have stayed on top, kept doing things like that, then, you know, another one of those, and that's what would have been a little bit more 10-8 for me. Not necessarily where you're behind the guy, not able to get anything in deep. Sure, you know, you had a lot of control time. Just not a 10-8 for me, man.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. So obviously, once again, like I said, this is mirrored in controversy. It's never definitive. And if you don't get that definitive win, people still aren't going to view you as the champion. Because guess what, AJ? We said, hey, does Sterling get the boos or does he get the cheers? Well, guess what? He got the boos. And Yan got the cheers. And I think the people still are going to be viewing it that way, even though Sterling... Not technically, man, officially. He is the champ, man. He is the champ. There's nothing you can say. Like it, love it, hate it. It does not matter, man, because Sterling is the top dog right now, and somebody got to take that belt from him. So we'll see who's next up, because I think that the Waterworks was saying that Aljamain Sterling is going to either be fighting TJ Dillashaw next, or they're going to get a Petr Yan rematch. And if Dana White himself says, I think Yan won, I think we might be seeing a trilogy fight, brother. So it is officially it's 2-0. It's 2-0 Sterling, brother. No. Even though, I mean, is it 2-0? Yes, it is. But is it? Nah, I don't know. All right, big win. Oh, what's up, brother? What's up?
This is Jan's first loss, not being disqualified, man, or not losing a point, not cheating anyway, man. It's crazy.
First official loss to a split decision, I believe, as well, man, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, man, big win by Aljamain Sterling, and we will talk the future in just a few.